Hi, boys and girls. We are going to do another math lesson together. This time we're going to do the second part of lesson 1.2. So let's get our papers ready. So again, in order to get my paper ready for math, I'm always doing a hamburger, and a hamburger fold. So I cook 3 hamburgers. And what I'm going to do is I like to outline mine. You don't have to do that on your paper. I just do mine so that you can see it on the camera, because it's a little easier for you to see. So I'm going to go ahead and do this part. And then I'm also going to do the back side of the paper as well, because I'm going to be doing several problems today. There may be a few of these little boxes that we might chop in half if we need a little bit more room. Okay, so I have 8 squares on either side. Again, I'm always going to make sure that I write. I'm always going to make sure that I write my name at the top of my paper. And I'm always going to make sure that I list the math lesson too. So I'm going to say lesson number 1.2. And I like to also put the page numbers, because we're going to be doing, this is practice. Normally you would work on it on your own, but since we're just starting out with, math, I feel like it's not really very fair to just leave you on your own. And also, usually in class, I let you work with a partner, and that's a little bit harder to do because you're at your house and you don't have a partner. So I'm going to be your partner for you. So we're actually we're going to be on page, I would say we're on page 18 and 19. So we're going to do a little bit of, it's called Let's Practice. So I'm writing on here page 18 through 19. All right, so we're going to probably do all 15 of them. We probably have enough room to do all 15. On 3, 4, 5, and 6, we're going to make a chart. So we're going to do 1 here, 2 here, and then when we do 3, 4, 5, and 6, we're going to make a big, huge chart that takes up all this room, okay? And we'll write the answer up here for 3, okay? So we have a chart, and you can make it doesn't have to be super fancy. In fact, I'm going to turn mine to the side so I have a little bit extra room. And I'm going to make a chart right here, and I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to go like this. And here's my chart. And this is going to be the 10,000s. That makes this the thousands. That makes this the hundreds. That makes this the tens. And this is going to be the ones. And they've given us 2 numbers. The first number they're giving us is, and also it helps to remember that where the comma's going, right, on all of these numbers. So we know that the comma is going to be right here after the thousands. So we have this number here, and then we have this number down below. So they're saying look at each place value chart and write greater than or less than. And then right here they have they kind of have a green box right here. And then they also have this. Right? So we're asking ourselves which one is going to be greater than or less than. So remember, we're always starting out with the largest place value when we're comparing numbers. Always with the largest place value. So if I have nothing in here, it's like having a little ghost zero there, right? And so that means that we're not going to have anything to compare it with, which means 2 is always going to be greater than 0. So I know that because this number starts with a 2 in the 10,000s place, it's going to be greater than this number, right? And remember, we always have the alligator, right? Greater than, it always eats the bigger number, okay? Let's do number 2, and we're going to also do it sideways like this because we have a little bit more room. Again, we're going to have one space. You can kind of plan it as you go. If I need to have a 10,000s, I need to have a thousands, I need to have a hundreds, I need to have a tens, and I need to have a ones. Okay, so I have 2 numbers. The first number is 70, and remember always the commas right here. So we have 70024. Then we have 59978. Right? Now, it says down here at the bottom 70,024, and it has a green box, and then it says 59,978. So again, we're always looking at the highest place value. Is 7 greater than or less than 5? 7's always going to be the winner. It's greater than 5. So we know that this number is going to be greater than this number. So we put the alligator going the other way, right? That looks like a cheerful alligator. The alligator always wants to eat the larger number. So 70,024 is greater than 59,978, right? And again, we always look, even if you don't have 10,000s, let's say we had hundreds, I would always look at the number that is the farthest to the left. I've seen kids before start comparing numbers over here at the ones place. Never, never, never. When you're adding numbers or subtracting them, you start on the right-hand side. But when you're comparing them, you always look to the left, right? You're always starting at the left. Okay, now number 3, we're going to need to make a big, huge place value chart. It's got to have 3 numbers on it because it's going to look the same as these, only it's going to be a little bit bigger because instead of 1, 2, we're going to have 1, 2, 3. So let's take up a little room. In fact, we could even take up a little room and do this whole space, and then we could do 4, 5. Actually, we could say this is 4, 5, and 6 in this whole area. So let's take up this whole section. We're going to, again, start with 10,000s. Then we're going to have thousands. Then we're going to have hundreds. Then we're going to have tens. And the ones is nice and big and fat. And we're going to go like this. We're going to have 1, 2, 3 that we're looking at. We're going to go like this and like this. So we'll just let it take up the whole space. So they're asking us for number 3. They're asking us to put, you can put a little arrow because we're going to put it in the next column, right? So for number 3 is right here. They're asking us to put 8,372. Oops. 8,372. Then they're asking us to put 51,030. Then they're asking us to put 33,443. And then they're asking us to go greatest to least. Okay. So we're always starting. I could have made this into a ghost zero because there's nothing here, right? It's like having a zero there. So if I'm comparing 5 and 3 and 0, which one's the greatest number? That guy, right? So I'm going to say that greatest to least, our first number is going to be and that is going to be the greatest, right? The neighbor boys have whistles, and you guys can probably hear them blowing their whistles. So I know if I'm comparing these and the largest number is 5, which one's going to come in next in the contest, 3 or 0? Which one's greater, 0 or 3? 33,000. And then we'll put the box, and we have the lowest number, right, which is 8,372. So this number is going to be less than, right? So this is the largest because it has the 5 in the 10,000s place. This has a 3 in the 10,000s place. This has nothing in the 10,000s place. So obviously it's the smallest number. Okay? Not too tough. I'm going to tell you that this is a really good strategy. They show you this strategy. This math book tends to show you a really good strategy at the beginning and then lets you kind of work on it on your own. And sometimes kids do it without doing this. And I will tell you, when you stack numbers, it makes it really easy to compare them. So let's look at, this was also, we'll say this is 5 and 6, right? So we solved 3, 4, 5, and 6 right here. Now we're going to do 7 right here. So 7, if you look in your math book, number 7 says compare and then complete. So I have two numbers right here next to each other, and I'm going to stack them. So I'm going to stack them so I can compare them. So I'm setting them up like this. If you're sloppy, you can put little guidelines in here. I'm not too sloppy, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. But if you're sloppy, it helps to stack them if you need that. So I'm always going to start to compare them over here. They're the same here, but look, here's where they differ. They're also the same over here. Here's where they differ, 2 and 9. So I automatically know which one is smaller. So number 7 says green box is 7,000 less than green box. So which one's the greater one? This one. So I know that this one is less than, and it looks like it's less than 7,000 because 2 plus 7 equals 9. So I'm going to say 72,000. I'm going to put this number in here and plug it into this box. 72,643 is 7,000 less than, and then I'm going to put my greater number, 79,643. Okay? I'm going to have a little drink of tea while you're catching up to me. Okay. I'm also going to go close the door while you're catching up because our neighbors are being super noisy at school right now and they're distracting me. Okay, now I can flip the paper, correct? Yes. Okay, here we go. So we're going to do number 8. Now, number 8, we had our two numbers, and we're going to say 7,000 more than blank is blank. So okay. So looking at my two numbers, which one is more? Well, 7,000 is more than blank is blank. So I'm going to put 72,000. 7,000 more than 72,643 is 79,643. They're trying to get you to look at the numbers and analyze them. So again, this is one of those situations where stacking the numbers is really important to think through the problem. Here's another one. So we're going to do the next one has these two problems in blue boxes. And what we're going to do is we're going to stack the numbers, and then we're going to, for 9 and 10, we're going to answer the questions. So I'm stacking my numbers. I have 44,000, 678, and then I have 94,678. And again, if you're a little sloppy, you can do this just to give yourself some lines, right? Sometimes it's hard for kids to write numbers straight because we're using paper without lines. Also, sometimes it really helps if you want to use binder paper to do your work. That's helpful too. Binder paper turned to the side. So number 9 says 50,000 more than 44,678 is green box. So again, I'm looking, these are all the same in all the columns except for right here, when our first look in the 10,000s place. This looks like 50,000 more than 44,678 is going to be 94,000. Oh, my pen's dying. Ah! First pen of the year to die. Dun, 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 dun. All right, let's look at number 10. Number 10 says green box. We can still look over here. We'll still refer to this guy over here, right? This one says green box is 50,000 less than 94,678. So which one is less than? The 44,000, right, is 50,000 less. So it's really a good idea to stack the numbers so that you're able to look and compare. All right. Numbers 11 through 15 are tricky dicky doodle. So let's look really quickly at them. It says find the rule for each number pattern and then continue or complete the pattern. So we're going to have some numbers. We're going to have then some green boxes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack the numbers. Instead of doing it this way, I like to stack the numbers so that I can tell, using a place value chart, what's going to come next. The way I do that is just tipping it to the side. And it looks to me like we need 10,000, so I'm going to make another place value chart. All right, so I'm just making another little chart. And I'm going to plug these numbers in. The first number is 26,358. The second number is 36,358. The third number is missing. Dun, dun, dun. The fourth number is 56,358. And then the last number is also missing. So if I'm looking at this, I see that hundreds, tens, and thousands, these are all consistent. So I know that this is going to look like this. Right? Does that seem fair? They're all the same. They're all consistent. I also know if I'm seeing a 6 and a 6 and a 6, these are going to be 6 as well. Right? 2, 3, 5, Well, if I just count, then I have this, right? So what is our rule? Well, it looks like we added 10,000 each time, right? So I'm going to write my rule up here. I'll just say rule plus 10,000. Right? So I've added, here's my rule up here. Sorry, I didn't make it really big. So I have just added 10,000 each time. Now, this might seem silly, but making this little chart, putting in the time to make the chart made it 10 times easier and faster, right? It did not take a lot of time to just throw some lines in here, throw a couple of letters in here, and it made it a lot easier to figure out the rule, right? Because we could see, oh, it's in the 10,000s place that they're changing. So let's do the next one. We're going to do 12 that way, 13 that way, 14 that way, and then when we get to lucky number 15, we're all done. Okay? So let's look at number 12. I'm going to do the 10,000s, thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones. Here's my line. And this time, again, I have 5. So I have 1. I can go zoom in a little bit on this for you. I know it's a little hard to see. So I'm going to have 5. They're giving me 3, and then there's 2 mystery ones. So I'm just going to make my little chart like so. And each one of these is going to look like this with my comma. And then I have the first one, I don't know. It's a mystery. And then I have 6,500. And then I have 11,500. And then I have 16,500. And then I have another mystery one. And then we're going to write the rule up here. So if I know, I'm looking at the relationship between 6 and 11. What's the relationship between 6 and 11? What have I added? Well, I think I've probably added, if I take this number and I add 5 to it, I get 11, right? And I'm adding 5,000 to it, right? What if I add 5,000 to 11,000? Am I going to get 16,000? Yes. So I think my rule is plus 5,000. So that means in order to get this one, I have to add 5,000 to this. And 6 plus 5 is going to equal, if I add 5,000 to this, I'm going to get 0, 0, 5. 6 plus 5 is 11. So I get 21,500. Now this one I've got to take away 5,000, right? Because it has to be 5,000 less. So if I take away 5,000, I'm going to end up with 1,500, right? Does that make sense? If I take 1,500 and I add 5 to it, 5,000, I'm going to get 6,500. Okay? These are kind of fun. You know, and in some ways it's kind of like we're doing algebra to a certain extent, right? Okay, 13 has the same setup, so we're just going to set it up again. I have 10,000s. And again, like I said, it really takes, that took me like 1 minute to write that in there. But by writing it in there, I know I'm going to get the answer correct, right? Because I know my place value, I can see it. So it really helps you to figure out the problem. This is what the book is showing you to do. It's showing them horizontally. That means that you're going to have to be lining these up in your noggin, in your head, and that's a little bit difficult to do. So I like just making the chart. It takes 1 minute to make the chart, and then you know you're going to get it correct. So again, I have 5 numbers, and I have 1, 2, 3 that I know, and then the bottom 2 are mystery numbers. Mystery numbers. So here is, the first number is 47,560. The second number is 47,000 or 46,460. The next number is 45,360. So now we have, I'm glad we made our place value chart because we have, this is consistent, this is consistent, this is consistent, but the thousands and the hundreds place, one of them is going down and the other one is going down, right? So if we have 765, the next number is going to be 4, right? The next number is going to be 3. If we have 5, 4, 3, then I'm going to have 2, 1. And all of these are going to stay consistent because they were the same in the previous numbers. This was where we were seeing the change. And now we have to figure out what our rule is, though. So we are subtracting minus, because the numbers are getting smaller. So we're going to say we're subtracting by 1,100. So we're subtracting by 1,000. That's the rule. Forgot to write the rule over here too. The rule is that we're subtracting by 1,100, right? And the place value chart really helped me to see that. And stacking the numbers. If I looked at them horizontally, I told you that I have problems remembering numbers. So if I looked at this horizontally, I don't think that would be a disaster for me. So it really helps to set up the times table chart. Just makes it easier. It's not a lot of effort. Okay, let's do the next one. This time we have 6 numbers. Yikes! So we're going to have to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to make it smaller up here. Here's my 10,000s. And I'm making sure we need 10,000s because here's my thousands. Here's my hundreds. Here's my tens. and here's my ones. So I need to have 6. So I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to use my knowledge of fractions. When I chop something in half, and then I'm going to chop this into thirds. 3 is going to give me 6. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dramatic sound. Okay, here comes the first one. 40,253. And, oops, I meant to put a 3 there. Sorry, I put a 6. It's a mistake Monday. I was just going to say, and if this is really confusing to you and you've got too much going on your paper, you can cover it. That's another strategy that I learned with my number issues is cover what you're not working on, and then it makes it easier. Okay, this is a 3. Then we have 50,273. Then we have 60,293. Then we have a missing number. Then we have 80,333. And then we have another blank. So let's look and see. This to me, and also too, you can color code it if you want to use another color. You could do that. You could say, okay, this is going to be, I don't know that that's going to be a different color enough. Let's see if I have another pen. I probably don't. And all my pens are probably dry. These are the ones that are mysteries, right? That might help. So I'm seeing 3, 3, 3, 3. My guess is they're all going to be 3s. I'm seeing 2, 2, 2, and then it's starting to turn into a 3. That makes me think this is going to have some regrouping. There's going to be some regrouping happening in here. So let's look at the relationships between these two numbers. 5, 6, 7. 7, 8, 9. So I say that row probably has plus 2, right? Or since it's tens, plus 20. This is going to be 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10, 11. If I do that, I have to regroup, right? That's going to make that into a 3. Because 2 plus 1 is 3. Did you guys see that? 12, 13. That's what the 13 is from, so that means that got regrouped too, right? And that's why, yeah, so that's 13. This one's going to be 15, right? Okay, so that's what I'm seeing for that one. And then if we have zeros in all of these, we probably are going to have zeros in these, right? If I have 4, 5, 6, 8, I'm probably going to have 7, 8, 9. So we have added 10,000, right? So we're going to say plus 10,000. But then we've also monkeyed around. We've monkeyed around with this part as well. Remember, we said that this time we were adding 20 every time. We were saying plus 20. So we're going to say plus 20. So if I added those together, I would say the rule is plus 10,000, 20 every time, right? So there we go. Let's do the last one. You know, of course, that the last one is going to be a face melter. It's probably going to be really hard. It's either going to be really hard or really easy. Really difficult or really easy. So this time, ay caramba. This time we have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is cruel. So we're going to have 7. So I'm going to borrow these same lines. Again, if you're not stacking them, you're inviting disaster. And if you're not making a place value chart, you're inviting disaster because this is going to be tricky, right? This is thousands, this is hundreds, this is tens, this is ones. And we need to have, we already said we needed 7, right? So that means I'm going to do, I can't do my fraction trick because 7's an odd number. So I'm just going to make them kind of smallish. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. There's always going to be a comma for your mama right there. Again, if you want to cover over, if you want to hide the other work because it's distracting you, you can always have a little blank piece of paper to do that. That's a good strategy. I get really distracted, so I do that all the time. And I always have papers on my desk that I use as blockers. So I'm going to start writing in the numbers. The last 2 are going to be the 2 we don't know. So the last 2 are going to be the puzzle. Right? So I'm highlighting them because that way we know what we have to solve, right? Okay. You guys probably got little highlighters in your goodie bag. Don't be afraid to use them. So now I start out with 44, 716. Then I have 44, 516. Then I have 34. Uh-oh. 516. Then I have 34, 316. Then I have 24, 316, and then I have the 2 mystery ones. It is safe to assume, in my mind, that since I have 5 6s, I'm just going to pop 6s in there, right? It is also safe to assume that since I have bleep, 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 I'm just going to say, well, it probably ends in 16, right? This is 7, 5, 5, 3, 3. What do you think the next one's going to be? I would guess these are odd numbers, right? 7, 5, 5, 3, 3. I would think they would be 1, 1. Does that make sense to you? It does to me. I'm guessing these are all going to stay 4s. 4, 4, 3, 3. I'm guessing this is going to be 2, 2, and 1, and there's not another number to count as the 1, right? Now, our rule is going to be a little bit weird, right? Because we almost have 2 rules, right? Because these 2 we're only subtracting 10,000, right? So on this one, the relationship between this one, we've subtracted 200. So that one is minus 200, right? Then on this one, we're subtracting minus 20,000. Right? This has stayed the same. This is the only place where they're different, and that's 10,000. Actually, I messed up. It's 10,000. Sorry, that's a 1. Then the relationship between this one and this one is, again, it's the minus 10,000. And then the rule for this one between these 2 is minus 200. The rule for this one again is, this one is minus 1,000 or 10,000. So our rule is a little bit wonky. We actually have two different rules. We have a little pattern going minus 200, minus 10,000, minus 10,000, minus 200, minus 10,000, minus 10,000, minus 200, right? We're shifting it up. We're changing it up every time or every other time. So again, this strategy, making a chart. Do not be afraid to make a chart. That's why we have paper. That's why we have pencils, so that we can make little charts. Making a place value chart is always going to help you. Don't be lazy. I hardly ever use the L word. I hate it. I hate it when I hear that word. But in this case, be proactive. Make yourself a chart, right? And when you make a chart, you can't go wrong. Well, I mean, you can go wrong. Look, I went wrong right here. Oopsies. But you'll go less wrong. If you were just looking at the book, look at this, look at the book. If you were just looking at this and trying to figure out where they change, you'd be like, oh, well, it's off by 10,000, but then it's the same, but then it's off, but then there's numbers changing inside. What the what? So in this case, there's just, you're juggling too many ideas at the same time, right? You're juggling too many changes. So keeping track of the changes and writing them down is a really helpful strategy. My dad is 92 years old and he forgets lots of things. And I'm always yelling at him and saying, Dad, write it down. Write it down. And I'm telling you the same thing. It's easy to forget when you're doing a couple of different rules and you're doing some fancy footwork here. It's easy to forget what you're doing. But if you make a chart, it makes it a lot easier to remember exactly what you're doing. All right. That was kind of a long lesson, but those last few problems were super tricky, I think. So I hope this helped you to kind of figure out how to compare numbers and how to also find pattern when you're working with numbers. All right. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you again for another lesson later, alligator.